Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese. Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese.
Hi there, this is Chinese Pod coming to you from Shanghai, China, bringing you lessons in spoken Mandarin. Today's lesson is an elementary lesson. That's the second level. And it's a little bit different in many ways because today I have two friends here in the studio with me. Now, one is...
Hi, I'm Jenny.
And the other is...
John. Hey, Ken.
John. Hey, it's great to have you guys here today. Now, it's interesting that there's three of us because we're going to look at the third tone today. Today's kind of a special lesson. We're looking at the third tone.
So a trio for...
A trio, indeed. And the third tone is really very interesting. It's better than your average tone, I can tell you now, the third tone. And so what we've got is a series of expressions that use the third tone in combination, as in the third tone plus the third tone. And this is so exciting. So we're going to listen to those tones first, and then we'll do the translations. And then I think John and Jenny both have lots of interesting things to say about the third tone.
We do. It's fascinating.
It's such a great tone. So let's listen to him first, and then we'll come back and we'll break him down for you.
First expression. 你好你好你好 Second expression. 很好很好很好 Third expression. 可以可以可以 Fourth expression. 好久好久好久 Fifth expression. 我也有我也有我也有 And the last one. 我想找你我想找你我想找你
Okay, now at this point, I think we could do the translation, right? So, Jenny, if you want to go through them and I'll translate them.
你好
Hello.
你好
Hello.
你好很好
Very good.
很好
Very good.
很好可以
Can.
可以
To be able to.
可以好久
A long time.
好久
A long time.
好久我也有
I also have it.
我也有
I've also got something.
我也有我想找你
I've been looking for you.
我想找你
I want to talk to you.
我想找你
Okay. Now, a couple of interesting things here with this, guys. Some of my translations were very idiomatic there, so we might need to go through some of the details. But what we're talking here is the third tone combined with another third tone.
Yes, multiple third tones,
Okay.
more than two.
Yeah. Now, tell us about this, guys. Tell us about, you guys are the tone experts. John, what do you have to share with us about this?
All right, well, the thing you need to know is when you have two third tones in succession,
Yes.
the first one becomes a second tone.
Now there's an insight for you. Whenever you have two third tones together in succession, the first of those becomes a second tone. Right. Could you give us an example of that, please, Jenny?
Sure, let me give you two examples,
Okay.
shall I?
Yeah.
你好你好很好很好
Now, just to make this clear, how about if you pronounced it as two third tones without following the rule? What would that sound like, for
Pay
example, for 你好?
attention. It will be 你好 你好. See, it's even quite hard for me to pronounce them, actually.
Okay, so when you put the 2/3 together, it would sound very labored, wouldn't it? It would say 你好.
And yeah, there is almost an impossibility to pronounce two distinct third tones
Okay.
Without breaking them up.
Okay, so could you contrast then the 2/3 as in 你好 with the proper way?
你好 versus 你好. 你好. 你好.
Yeah, it just flows a lot better when you do the second, third.
Exactly. Like John said, it gives it the fluidity or the fluence.
Yes. So in the first list we went through, did you pronounce those as second and third, or did you pronounce those as third and third?
Second and
Second and
third.
Yeah, it's not optional. You have to do it
have
this
to
way.
do
it.
If you don't pronounce it that way,
It's just going to
wrong.
sound funny.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe we could go through the list again and contrast them just to make that really, really clear. So the second, we had 你好. The second expression was
很好. 很好.
now. Could you contrast that the proper way with the if you overemphasize if you do the 2/3?
So I'll do the 2/3 first and then the proper way.
Okay.
很好. 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 很好.
Okay. Good. The next one is
可以. 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 可以.
okay. So 可以 is technically 2/3 tones, but
Yes.
in pronunciation terms you couldn't say 可以.
Exactly.
So you have to say 可以.
And I also want to mention here, when you have the pinyin,
Yes.
they're all going to be marked as third tone. So the pinyin won't tell you where you have to change the third tone to a second tone. You have to know.
There you go. You see.
That's the rule for writing pinyin. You write the original tone, and then
Yes.
if the tone changes, you have to read it correctly, but you won't see it written
It's
in the
really
pinyin.
interesting. That's a great insight right there. So as you're reading a pinyin passage, you have to know that this happens. Great insight, John. Well done.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Chinese Pod Trivia. Our first question is, how long will it take you to become an intermediate Chinese speaker using the Chinese Pod app? Is it A, the rest of your life? B, you should already be an intermediate speaker? C, 3 months? Or D, Chinese Pod has an app?
You should already be in.
Ooh, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, 3 months. That's right. Head over to ChinesePod.com now to register for your access to over 4,000 lessons. Get the Chinese Pod app now on Google Play or the App Store.
Now the expression a long time.
好久. 好久. 好久.
Great.
好久. 好久.
Great.
You see, for me, pronouncing them in the proper way is also a lot easier for yourself
Yes.
while you're pronouncing it, right?
Indeed, yeah. It's the natural way. It just sounds
Yes.
more natural, yeah. Now, there's a couple of other expressions, John. You want to take a look at them?
Yeah, where it gets tricky is when you have several third tones in a row. This is what everyone always asks. Well, what happens when you have 3? What happens when you have 4, 5, 6, 7?
Yeah.
What happens is they tend to be grouped in a way that makes sense to the Chinese speaker. So can you give us an example, Jenny?
Sure, I'll give you 3 third tones together. 我也有. 我也有.
And so how would you say that naturally?
我也有. 我也有. Now that is the natural way of saying it. And if you were to pronounce 3 third tones, it would be 我也有.
Okay, so let's look at what happens to the tones when you say it naturally. Could you say that one more time?
Sure. 我也有. 我也有.
All right, so it kind of sounds like 我 and 也 both become second tone,
Yeah.
and then 有 becomes third tone. 我也有.
我也有. Yeah.
All right, so when you have this chunk, right, like a semantic chunk,
Yes.
the tones all influence each other.
Yeah.
So you get the seconds in the front and the third in the back,
Yeah.
right? But then if you have more than one chunk, it could be different. All right, let's look at the next one.
我想找你. 我想 找你
Okay, so what would that be like with all third tones?
我想找你
All right, and then naturally again?
我想找你
Now that sounds like second, third, second, third. Is that what happened in that one?
我想找你
我想找你. So we have 4 third tones. You go 2, 3, 2, 3. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the general rule, I
Okay.
would say.
Yeah, because it makes sense. 我想, like what I want to do. And
Yes.
then what I want to do is 找你.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can't just mathematically calculate
yes.
where they're going to go because it's language.
Yes.
You know? I don't think any of these rules are 100% when you have a
Okay.
bunch of
That's
third
right,
tones in a
yeah.
row.
Yeah.
It also might depend on what exactly you mean.
Yeah.
But you got to be aware that the third tone
Right.
does change the second tone.
Great. What I would say about this lesson is, I mean, today's lesson is different. What we usually focus on is meaning, right? And today we're focused on the structure a little bit. So, don't worry too much. At the end of the day, we'll repeat these phrases now in the proper form, right? At the end, and just get those into your head. But I think John has made a couple of really important observations there that they do change in context and because of meaningful chunks of language, and that there are kind of guidelines that you can use. But don't get bogged down in the real details now. Just just so you understand that at this point.
Yeah, and I would say the best way is through exposure and practice.
Yes.
So, which
Yeah, and over time, it definitely becomes very natural.
Yes.
So don't obsess over it. Just be aware that something is going on there.
Indeed.
Exactly.
So maybe it's time now to listen to how many expressions do we have today? 4 or 5 expressions, but only in their proper
6.
6 expressions, but only in their proper forms. Okay.
First expression. 你好你好你好 Second expression. 很好很好很好 Third expression. 可以可以可以 Fourth expression. 好久好久好久 Fifth expression. 我也有我也有我也有 And the last one. 我想找你我想找你我想找你
Well, that was a very instructive time there. Thanks, guys, for that.
Very challenging.
Indeed,
topic.
yeah. Tones are always a bit challenging in Chinese, of course, but
But they should not get in the way of you enjoying learning the
indeed,
language.
and as I said,
Communication.
and communication, that's the whole deal. And at the level of actually learning them and acquiring them, my suggestion is to learn the chunks so you get the music of the language,
Yeah.
as opposed to trying to memorize, oh, that's a 4, that's a 3, that's a no. Anyway, well, that was an interesting lesson. Thanks for joining us, John.
We're
My pleasure.
expecting lots of comments from you guys.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, time for us, I think, to wrap it up now, Jenny. We'll be back again tomorrow with another lesson. In the meantime,
Yes, we
don't
will.
forget to go to ChinesePod.com and do what you have to do, which is drill down and explore the language and, just take
Have
it from there.
fun.
Have fun.
And learn things.
We'll be back again tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Time for us to say
再见.
再见.
As usual, ChinesePod provides an extensive selection of learning materials for this lesson on its website, www.chinesepod.com. You can access this lesson directly with the lesson number 0353. So just go to www.chinesepod.com/0353 and you will find a transcript, vocabulary, and much more. The link again, www.chinesepod.com/0353.